హాయ్ వ్యూయర్స్, వైజాగ్ విజన్ ఛానల్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. మా ఛానల్ అందిస్తున్న జాతీయ అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయి వార్తా విశేషాలు నోటిఫికేషన్స్ కోసం ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తున్న బెల్ ఐకాన్ ని క్లిక్ చేయండి.
May I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr.Jayaprakash Narayan Loksatta, to give the welcome address.
He is going to deliver a distinguished lecture on the occasion of celebrations of 150 years of see. It may or may not be appealing. Actually, it's not very appealing to most of the people. But that is not what Gandhi was. That was simply his style, because Gandhiji combined several things in one human being. He was a saint, he was a philosopher, he was a leader and a nation builder. And this not only because of personal beliefs and a certain Jain background. In Gujarat, there was a tremendous influence of the austere Jainism. Not only because of it, but also because he adopted consciously the symbol in order to be able to reach out to the people of this country in the face of poverty, ignorance, illiteracy, and isolation. That style must not cover our judgment. We must look at Gandhi and his ideas and his life much more deeply. The second problem that all of us have, in fact, one of the things that I toyed with in all my public life, when I left government to found a movement for reforms in the country, many well-meaning dear friends of mine said, look, now that you made anyway, in their words, I never use the word, you made this sacrifice. You become a Gandhi. Be an austere Gandhi, completely giving up anything personal. I told them no. In my judgment, that is wrong. In fact, the problem with Mahatma Gandhi is he made public work so unapproachable, because he led an example which is unprecedented, almost impossible for other human beings to emulate. In the minds of most of the people, there is a polarity, there is a binary approach. If you want to serve the country, you sacrifice everything personal, live like a saint, and then serve people. Because we cannot do that, then because you cannot be a saint, then forget all public service and public good and look after your personal gain. It's an utterly dangerous message. That's not what Gandhiji wanted to convey. But unfortunately, that is what is conveyed inadvertently. If your public work is to enhance the quality of life of everybody, then negating life is a nonsensical approach. It can be a spiritual approach for your personal salvation. But negating life and then trying to improve life, that's one of the problems of Mahatma Gandhi. At least understanding Mahatma Gandhi. He was a saint. But in terms of public good, we have now going to the essence of Gandhi rather than the symbols of Gandhi once again. The third issue that confronts all of us is, and I am certainly one of those confronted by that, Gandhiji emphasized on personal morality. That if you are moral as a human being, if your conduct is blemishless, everything is wonderful. There is no question about it. It's obviously true. But it's also obviously unhelpful. If everybody is wonderful and moral and truthful, then why all this problem at all? We'll be in heaven, where milk and honey are flowing. Human beings are diverse. And human conduct itself is diverse. One day I can be very moral, next day I can be immoral. In a particular context. That's the very nature of the beast. That's how society functions. So the challenge is not merely how to inculcate morality by preaching, but how to sustain morality by institutional mechanisms and creating the right kind of incentives. Supposing you are taught here in colleges and universities and schools now, all the wonderful virtues and qualities of Mahatma Gandhi and sacrifice and morality and service. But after leaving this out there in society, you find that the Gandhian virtues actually are not what are succeeding, however you define success. It is the crooks and the marauders who are actually succeeding. And they come and give a lecture to you tomorrow or day after tomorrow in this university. All your talk of morality is irrelevant. Have you built an institutional framework that can sustain morality, that rewards good behavior, that punishes bad behavior, consistent? Then morality is sustainable. Therefore, institutionalization. Ambedkar was an institutionalist. Gandhiji was a moralist in substantial measure. So there is an issue. Both are necessary. But morality cannot be sustained in a society without institutionalization, without creating incentives for the right kind of behavior. And finally, in dealing with Gandhiji, I am saying it with the greatest respect and humility. We have to rescue Gandhi from Gandhians. The Gandhians of our country imitated Gandhi's external habits and dress and other forms, forgetting the essence of Mahatma Gandhi. That's why the younger generation doesn't really give as much importance to Gandhi as Gandhi deserves. In fact, the world over, Gandhiji was respected, is respected, and followed much more than in India. In India, of course, we have statues. We are a country full of statues. We know that. But I don't think we really deeply understand what Gandhi stood for or emulated. That's why some of the greatest leaders that emerged in post-Second World War world, who inspired mankind, were influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, and almost all of them from outside this country. In a sense, Gandhiji tried to establish a meaningful, wholesome relationship between the individual, the society, larger humanity, not merely Indian society or Telugu society or something, but larger humanity, human race itself, and planet Earth itself. So the first man, we all know by now, is very well known now, the first man who understood that sustainability is the most important thing. That man and nature cannot be in conflict. There has to be harmony. Let me bring down to the Indian context in the public domain and make 3 brief points and conclude. Then we'll leave it open to interaction. In 1915, if I recall, Mahatma Gandhi made a very seminal speech in Benares Hindu University, the inaugural ceremony. The Viceroy was there, some of the most eminent Indians were there. There were a few non-Indians, Englishmen there. One of them was Higginbotham, I remember, because Gandhiji in his speech referred to Higginbotham, who was there. And surprisingly, or actually unsurprisingly, Mahatma Gandhi was stopped midway through his speech. He could not conclude his speech. And he dissent was chairing it. And Gandhiji was so iconoclastic, so deviant from tradition, that the elites there in the presence of the Viceroy could not tolerate that. But there was one question he repeatedly raised. He said, the British will leave this country one day or the other, either by compulsion or by exhaustion. It's not the question of whether, it's a question of when. So it doesn't matter. But are we prepared for self-governance? It's not the British who caused all our problems. He was a great leader, so perspicacious, 105 years ago recognized. It's not the foreign ruler that was the problem. He talked about the streets of Benares, how filthy, how ugly, how dusty they were, and how much we're messing up our own environments. He said, what have the British got to do with that? Just because they leave, you think it will improve automatically? Unless we are fit for citizenship and self-governance, we cannot build a truly great nation. He was not one of those who believed that the white man was the enemy, throw him out and everything's all right. Never. Unfortunately, Gandhiji's message has not been internalized.